Welcome back. It's the Galaxy today, and of course, like we rightly said, we're going to the second segment where we'll be looking at communicating right at work and social circles. We have with us Abiola Salami, executive business and life coach.
You made that sound like a meal, salami.
Hey,
no. Sorry, my name is Salami.
Okay, Salami.
Salami, yes. Not
it was one of the names I grew up knowing. I mean, back in the Macmillan.
Yes, Mr. Salami is a shopkeeper.
Exactly.
I mean, that tells you that name is a great name. I mean, since cradle, we've been influencing you.
Oh, like seriously.
Until now, we're trying,
Okay, so let's talk about communicating at workplace. Wow, this is very essential.
Yes.
I mean, knowing that you spend more hours with your colleagues and, of course, with your bosses than the people you do at home. And, of course, it's social gatherings. I mean, someone here needs that very, very well. Okay. Let's start with that of the colleagues.
Throwing stones again. Okay.
But let's start with colleagues. Now, how do you communicate effectively? I mean, sometimes you don't have to talk to communicate. How do I know I've communicated? I'm talking to Justin. How do I know I have communicated well with Justin?
As long as you're not speaking your dialect.
Like, seriously, Justin, communication is not just a language or in speech.
Okay. This is how to say it. First is for us to understand consciously that the most important skill in the workplace is communication skill. Because to give instruction to your subordinates, you communicate. To share the vision of the organization with the team members, you communicate. To tell customers who wants to patronize your product or your service, you have to communicate. So it's important that we know consciously that communication is perhaps the most important skill in the world, not just in the workplace. And there are certain things that we need to also keep in mind when the discussion about communication comes up. One of such things is understanding that communication is not about you, the communicator. It's about the recipient of the message.
Okay.
And that finds its root in the simple definition of communication. What's communication? It's a means of transporting or transmitting a message from one person to the other person and receiving the expected feedback. Right? Because feedback is critical. You want to be sure that what you said is what the person heard. In fact, you want to be sure that what you mean is what you said, and what you said is what the person heard.
So you're just mumbling everything together now. You have to be sure of what you said.
You want to be sure that, hold on, what you mean
the intention
is what you said.
Okay, is what
and what you said is what was heard.
What was heard. Because sometimes what you say is that you might say something and you think people actually heard what you said, but they might be interpreting it to some other thing.
And that's the difference between talking and communicating.
Okay.
Some people just
most times just talk.
Some people just talk. And again, with social media and all of those things, people say they're expressing themselves.
Okay.
The difference between expression and communication is expression, you don't care who's listening or who's not listening. Communication, you pay attention, you want to be sure that somebody is listening to you. You want to be sure that the person is listening. And
you are sure by getting the feedback.
Okay. And if you want to communicate with me, you speak with me in my language. And with language, I'm not talking about English or Igbo or Yoruba or any other language. It's about seeking first to understand rather than being understood first.
Okay.
So you want to seek first that you understand the other person rather than being understood first. But most generally, people don't care about understanding the other person.
Wait, let me get it. Let's get it step by step.
Okay.
You must understand the person you want to communicate with, so that way you know how to pass the right message
to that person.
Okay, how about it's still to show about there's a brick wall already.
Okay.
Again, I'm going to bring in gender here. Okay,
But
yes,
of course.
I'm not a feminist, but I noticed that there's always a clash, and particularly when they believe some tribes believe in a particular thing and another tribe believes in a particular thing. Okay, for the gender thing now, I'm a woman and I'm trying to communicate with you, and you could actually see the ego in that man coming up. He has not even heard what you're saying, but his ego is actually making it, okay, I'm saying, can I have your tie? And then he's not listening to what I'm saying simply because of that ego embargo. How do you communicate with someone like that? What he's hearing is, give me your tie.
Okay, now what to know is that for every individual, we are all psychological beings.
Yeah.
If I know you, then I will understand how to communicate with you.
Are you taking notes, Justin?
You're throwing stones.
She's
Anyway, it's
always doing
okay.
that.
It's okay. I'm sorry for you, Justin. Now, if I know you, I will know how to communicate with you. And that's the place of seeking first to understand and then to be understood.
Okay.
So when I understand how you hear things, how you understand things, when I know the right time to say the right thing to you, then I will know how to say what I want to say to you and get what I want to get from you. But most times people don't care. We just expect people to behave like machines. We want things to happen in our own time and not in the time of the other person. And so because we are not patient enough to seek to understand the other person, then we come up with different kinds of phrases. You know, men are like this, or women are like this, or bosses are like this, or all those millennials, they're like this, or you know, we just generalize. But the point is, everybody deserves to be understood, right? And so the place of communicating with people, if you want to connect with anybody and communicate effectively with the person, you need to start by understanding the individual.
Okay, so talking about attention,
You
Justin,
will.
because-
Just to remind our viewers that it is interactive. It's not just about us talking here. You can actually learn, or if you want your questions to be answered anywhere you have gray areas, you can actually send any message that you want us to reach you out on. Just do so by sending an SMS to the number that is now displayed on the screen, or interact with us via our social media platforms using the hashtag Galaxy. Today, Uche has the next question.
Exactly. My question is actually directed using Justin as my
Throwing
no,
shots
as-
again.
No.
But which day will we come
No,
on
no,
this
no.
show
No,
and
no,
you
no.
won't fire shots?
No, I'm not firing shots.
Okay.
I mean, there's
I
some
have the
people
shoot.
that.
Okay.
All right. How about people that you need to get their attention to communicate?
Yes.
I don't know if you understand
Okay.
me. I mean, some people are not just you can't just get them. Okay, I want to talk to Justin now, and it's either I tap him to actually hear me and not just or actually listen to me and not just hear me. How do you go about it and not coming out and maybe ruthless, or not coming out like probably you're at that moment you are encroaching into probably at that moment is not in the mood to talk. But how do you get someone's attention without offending the person?
Yeah. Now, if you're talking in terms of what is interesting to me, if you're talking in terms of what is of interest to me, you will get my attention. If you're focusing on yourself, you will not get my attention.
Okay.
When people talk, most times they are speaking from their perspective and they are talking about what is of interest to them, and they don't necessarily pay attention to what is in it for the other person. And so when they talk that way, you will lose the other person. So the person may not necessarily listen to you. The person, for courtesy sake, may pretend like he's hearing you or she's hearing you. But what you want is the attention of that individual. So if you speak in terms of what is of interest to another person, you will definitely 100% of time get the attention of the other person. So it's about seeking to, that's why I said that, seeking to understand the person before you seek to be understood. So when you talk in terms of Justin's interest, for example, not what you think is interested in, but what he's actually interested in, because you've taken time to understand him, you will get his attention. If you speak in terms of your interest, you won't get his attention.
So I won't have to pray to get attention.
At other times now, let's look at the work environment right now. You need to communicate some things to some people, and ordinarily they might not really find it very palatable, might not something very, very interesting to them, but it has to do with work, and sometimes you just have to lay it out there on them so the business can move forward. And sometimes some people might not be happy with you, but overall interest is the company and what's it called, the bottom line. How do you communicate with them in as much as you still want to be friends with them, but the job has to be done?
Fantastic. There are times you need to have difficult conversations, right? It's not always friendly, but there are times you need to have difficult conversations. When you want to have a difficult conversation, set your eyes on the goal, right? So what's the purpose of that conversation? Is it that you just want to impose yourself on this individual, or is there a goal that is bigger than you, that the two of you need to now achieve? And so just focus on that goal, so that whoever you're talking to will understand that what you're discussing is the issue and not the person, right? That it is the issue and not the person. And most times we're not conscious of that. So we slip into discussing the person. And once I think that you are attacking my personality, once I think you're attacking my person, I will shield. You talked about a shield the other time. I will just shield myself and then I won't listen to you. And the work that's supposed to go on will not go on. But when the discussion is the issue and not the person, we know that the two of us were on the same side and we're looking at this thing and this goal has to be achieved. And so that's the way the conversation would go. Now, it doesn't mean that at every point in time when you have that conversation, the person will be happy to follow you and go, but you've done what you're supposed to do.
But sometimes some people might not really understand that it's not about them, it's just about the work.
Job.
But so that somehow, you might not even mention names, but some people might ordinarily just take offense because they feel that you are talking about them.
Good. It goes back to the place of seek first to understand before you are understood. People are on different levels of maturity. And it's not about their age. It is not about their level in the organization. It is not about any other thing. It's just their emotional composition, their psychological composition. People are on different levels of maturity. So if I understand that A is not as mature as B, the way I will communicate with A will be different from the way I will share the same thing with B.
All right, Biola, just hold that thought. It's still Galaxy today. I'm really enjoying and finding this whole topic interesting. And of course, feedbacks are already rolling in. But we have to pay some bills. Let's take this quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Stay with us. All right, welcome back. It's still Galaxy today. And Abiola Salami is still here with us. I have one of your questions. Let me just read it out to him so he can respond. Good morning. My question is, why do people panic when communicating in public?
Public speaking. You know, it is said that after the fear of death, that the next thing people are afraid of is the fear of public speaking, standing in front of people. Now, this same individual can share great ideas, sitting down with friends, but when it needs to stand up, then, you know, starts to shake.
What happens?
You know, the way to understand this is, one, if you are nervous when you want to speak in public, know that you are not alone. That's number one. Know that it happens to even the best of speakers that you know, the best of people that you respect, that when they speak, it happens. But the difference between them, you know, and you is they now understand how to navigate through that nervousness, how to navigate through that fear. You know, they said that FEAR, fear is false expression appearing real. You know, and so fear of the unknown. You're just afraid. You're not sure if you will remember your lines. I mean, it has happened to me before. I got on stage and I forgot everything I wanted to say. Wow. You know, but that was some time ago. It doesn't happen again now. So the number one reason people get nervous is because they focus more on themselves and not on the audience, you know. And so you're focusing on yourself. How do I look? How will I say this? How will I step? How will I do this? How will I? So one of the things I do is I know that there's a great expectation the people have of me. So I've been invited to this podium to say something to them. So they are expecting me to do something. They've already received me. They're already hungry. They're already happy to have me. So I'm coming to serve them and not to show that I'm a celebrity or to show that I'm a superstar, you know. And with that understanding, the second thing comes on, which is humility, you know, understanding that, hey, you're not here to teach them something they don't know before. You're just here to share knowledge with them. And so you're not coming to impose yourself as the big boss to them, like you're superior to them in any way. Because you also want to find common ground between the people you're speaking with and you. And one of the things you can do if you find yourself in that situation is your icebreaker could be, guess what? I'm actually nervous. And you can guess what the response of the audience is. Some people will scream, shout, they will laugh, you know, because they will understand with you. And from there you can navigate through before you become professional, that the fear may not overcome you.
Okay, how about those who fear criticism? Is it not part of the reason why they get nervous?
You know, I say that critics and analysts are the same because both of them, they are not making any progress. They're just talking, you know, not necessarily creating a solution. What to do if you find yourself in a situation where people seem to be criticizing you is you don't want to be with them on the same level. my sister-in-law, that everybody knows as Michelle Obama, says that when they go low, you go high. Yeah, you know my sister-in-law.
Yeah, I just remember now.
Okay, good. I know you've not met her before.
No, I haven't.
But we can work out something.
But of course, yeah.
And that. So she said that when they go low, that you go high. When people are attacking you in the presentation, you don't want to. You don't want to fight with them. You don't want to be rude. You want to be cautious. So just stay calm. Stay calm, let them finish whatever they're saying. When the person is done, your first response should be, thank you for what you just said. Now, when you approach it that way, your nerves are calm, your emotion is stable, rather than when you say, okay, you are giving it to me, I will give it to you double. If that's what you want to do on stage, then you can just imagine how dramatic that could be. The first thing you want to do is say, thank you for your observation. Don't even call it criticism. Say, thank you for your observation. Help the person to rephrase what the person is trying to say in a positive way and attempt to give a response if you have one. If you don't have a response, courtesy. Courtesy is the rule. If you don't have a response, say, thank you very much, I've heard what you said, but I cannot respond right now.
No.
If you don't mind, if you can give me maybe your email, your phone number, or that you will get across to the people that invited you for the event and send the response to that question to the individual. And most people that they criticize because they are weak themselves. A strong person will not criticize you.
Okay.
A strong person will share an observation, and won't just share an observation, will share how to now improve on whatever the person is.
Okay, my name is Friday Gukas from Jos, that's in Plateau State. He says, I would like to know how to communicate with someone who doesn't like anything about me. Is it necessary you work with them?
Okay, good. I don't know the arrangement of this. I don't know your peculiar situation. Maybe this is your boss or your subordinate, somebody you work with, or just a family member. If it's a relative or a friend and you are not doing business together, you don't need to convince anybody. You don't need to convince anybody to believe in you by any conscious effort. It's a bloody waste of time. There are some people, no matter how great you are, they will still not believe in you. They will always still criticize you, even if you've done the best of things and everybody in the world is celebrating you. So it's a bloody waste of time trying to appease or to appeal to, some people. But if you find yourself working with this person, concentrate on where you add value. Concentrate on the place where you add value. So if the person is your boss or your colleague, your peer, or it can be your subordinate anyway. So concentrate on where you add value. If you consistently add value, this person will see the value you are adding. If this individual does not see the value you are adding, but you focus on adding value, some other people will see the value and appreciate the value. So don't focus on that individual. Focus on the value that you are creating.
Okay, that's good to know. Okay, then you might have one or two things to say concerning social circles.
Yes, let me just ask the last question. So you just, how do you interact with people at social circles and not come across as maybe being too proud or just someone with low self-esteem all at the same time, and sometimes someone who feels too inhibited to talk around people?
Okay. First things first, you never get it wrong with a smile.
Okay.
You never get it wrong with a smile.
Which is my mom.
We said smile. That looks like something else, but it's okay. You never get it wrong with a smile. Once you get into a social circle, especially a place where you don't necessarily know anybody there yet, or rather they don't know you, you may know them, or maybe they don't know you. You don't get it wrong with a smile. Just with a bright smile. And the good thing about a smile is it's attractive. It makes you fascinating to people. It makes people want to talk to you. This guy is, you're happy. You're looking, your facial expression is attractive to people, And no matter how handsome you look, if you don't have a smile, you look ugly. No matter how beautiful you look, and as a lady, no matter how well made up, you look, and you're a snob, you look cocky and you look ugly. But with a smile and mild makeup, you look great.
You can say that again.
So you have a bright smile and you also dress well.
Dress it.
Some people attend some occasions and they look like some people that are supposed to be outside of the hall and not people that should be in the hall. And it's always the way you dress that you'll be addressed. So you want to put up a good smile, then before you leave your house, you want to ensure that you dress the part as well.
Okay.
All right, so don't look like what the cat dragged to the red carpet.
Okay, thank you so much,
Thank you.
Abiola Salami. You know, Abiola Cham Salami. It's been interesting having this session with you. And of course, it's not over yet. Wow. It looks like it's a full day already for us, Justin. There's
Yes,
still more
it
to
is
come.
a full day. It's just one of those days when you just have a lot of people to interview and a lot of things to be said. But remember, you can follow Abiola on Facebook at Abiola Champ Salami, and of course on Twitter at Abiola Champ, on Instagram at Abiola_Champ, and whatever questions you have for him, he will do justice to them. Many thanks once again.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be right back. We have a group of women who will be here to talk to you about how to